This video is sponsored by Card Kingdom. To pre-order Tarkir Dragonstorm, use my link in the description. Alright, we are here in our second draft of Tarkir Dragonstorm. We got two junk rares, both of which I think are Fs and limited. Powerful cards, but you know, this one demands that you have non-creature, non-lands that have mana value 3 or less, or it doesn't do anything, and that's way too specific. And this, you know, making every creature you play die and then create a 2/2 token is very difficult to take advantage of. However, to make up for having two junk rares, we do have 3 commons that I think might be their respective colors, best commons. We've got Sibsig Appraiser, Caustic Exhale, and Molten Exhale. You know, these are 2 great removal spells, and this is an amazing, you know, it gives you a 2-for-1 and then some, because it helps you load your graveyard. I think I like the Appraiser more. Like, you know, if I can take a card that's a 2-for-1, I probably do over powerful cards that are usually going to be 1-for-1s, generally speaking. That's how most formats play out these days. So, yeah, we'll take the Appraiser. These uncommons are all okay. Well, I don't like the Blade much, but the others are okay. Okay. Could have used that in our last deck. Decent blue card here, but, you know, Channel Dragonfire is probably the pick. It's just a great card. It does graveyard stuff, so it works with the Appraiser to some extent. I do like the Nurturer. Like, I think every card with Endure is going to be pretty good. Like, I think that's a mechanic. I don't see how it doesn't end up playing well in the format where you can go wide with it, which is usually what you do, but also have +1/+1 counter synergies. But yeah, we'll take Dragonfire here. Okay, I mean, I do really want to try out the blue-green deck, so I'm thinking about forcing it. I mean, you can. It's Teamer is what you really want to end up being in. Well, Sultai works too, but if we have the Dragonfire, we'll be leaning Teamer. But this is a strong payoff for doing graveyard stuff. Really good white common here. Also have a Teamer Monument. I think all the monuments are pretty good. But I'm tempted to try this deck out just because I sort of want to do it. You know, the graveyard thing. Give it a try. Okay. I do like the Ice Climber a lot. Like, great place to put counters, and, you know, it can load the graveyard too to some extent. I think it's what we take here. Yeah, we could either end up in blue-red or blue-green. Teamer, Sultai, you know, those are all open paths. So if we end up in blue-green, like, perfectly solid card in the Stormbrood. If you're not able to cast both, it does get worse. But not terrible. Like, if you can only cast the Stormbrood, it's not completely horrendous. The Elder is good. I do like it, but I think this is probably slightly better, especially when you factor in, like, Dragon Upside. I do like Teeming Dragonstorm, speaking of Dragon Upside, but yeah, we'll take the Stormbrood here. We had 0 dragons in our first draft, which was pretty unusual. Yeah, we went 1 and 3 with our first run. Our deck was pretty good. Black-green, +1/+1 counter deck. But it did not go our way. This card's really interesting to me, so I'm probably going to take it. It just seems like it has some huge upside, like in the later stages of the game. We have a couple of solid red cards here. But yeah, like 2 mana for 2 counters is fine, and then later in the game, it's pretty good. So, it's pretty good. Okay. I mean, I think we take Sage of the Fang. We have a Mystic Monastery, which is worth a look. You know, we're not really sure where we're going to end up. But I think Sage of the Fang is pretty good. It doesn't, you know, you don't have to do anything fancy to make it be a good card. So I think we'll just take it here. So another Humbling Elder. Ooh, there's a Salt Road Pack Beast here. I mean, I think, like, this is a better card overall, but given that we have 0 white cards right now and 0 white fixing, I'd probably take one of these blue or green cards. I feel like we're more interested in the graveyard than we are in Flurry at this point. Like, we're leaning more towards Sultai, so I think we'll take the card that does graveyard things. Okay, I may just take the land here because I don't think this is particularly good. It does trigger our skimmer if we exile our own thing, but let's take a land here and see what happens. Okay, well, pretty good. Couple of pretty good black cards still here. Don't think these red cards are very good. I think I'm going to speculate on one of these black cards. I mean, we're not locked in on anything really at this point, given what looks open. And I think this is the best card in the past. This has like a higher ceiling probably, but this is just always pretty good. Okay, so Unending Whisper or Undergrowth Leopard. I'm a little more interested in trying to go like hard on Harmonize here and see what happens. So I think that's what I'm going to do here. The tricky thing about Limited these days is that on paper, it's pretty rare. Like, you know, cards, it's hard to call a lot of cards Fs, but then because they're not useless, but then you see how they actually perform in the format in relation to other cards, and they are Fs. There are rarely cards they design now that are completely useless. You know, there are exceptions, like the 2 rares we started this draft with, pretty close to completely useless and limited. But most cards aren't terrible, and a lot of cards look above average, but then once you play the format in relation to the other cards in the set, they're not. You know what I mean? And that's always very difficult to predict. All right, I think I'll take an Artisan here. I mean, we've already got one Focus the Mind. We got a couple of solid red cards. I mean, I think the Dragonfire's okay. Another rare that's useless we managed to pick up in Stillness in Motion. Cool. So I don't think this is very good. Even with the card it draws you, like, man, I'm not super impressed with it. This effect just never plays well. And, you know, this is the kind of effect where people say, well, I've cast it and then it let me do lethal. And it's like, sure, that's true. It does that. But there are lots of games where it's just tempo, and going down a card for tempo is usually not great. I think we'd probably take another Appraiser. It's just good in every blue deck. You know, this will be good should we end up in Jeskai with a bunch of Flurry and Prowess. This will be good in all the decks. I don't like this Dragonstorm very much. It does trigger Flurry. I don't hate the Pummeler, but the Appraiser's just so good that it's hard to say no to. Okay, Revival of the Ancestors is great. Unfortunately, we're not really in the market for an Abzan card. It's not impossible, but given what our mana and stuff looks like right now, I mean, there's other cards we should take from this pack. Like, namely, I'm looking at Knockout Maneuver and Wildling. I do like the Sharpshooter. Wildling is great for your mana. It's a dragon, which has some inherent upside. And yeah, I think it's probably I'm going to take Knockout Maneuver. So we got another one of these. Not super excited about that. Gurmag Rakshasa is so good. I mean, you know, we lost LSV, one of the mini cards he beat us with when we played him. And, you know, I said in the set review, I think it's the best uncommon in black. And from what I've seen so far, I think we take the Pummeler. Just a great creature. You know, it's not quite as good as that Worm in the last set, but it's kind of similar. Gives you a big, beefy body, and then some counters, just not all at once. Yeah. Jungle Hollow doesn't really help us. Like, I don't think, we took this as speculation. It looks to me like we're going to end up in some teamer deck. Probably blue, green, splash red, but we may not even splash red. I mean, you don't have to. I mean, I'd sort of like to for Dragonfire, but the fact that the Harmonize is double red does make that harder. Ooh. Man. How are we doing on ramp? Not very good, unfortunately. We do have ways to put cards in the graveyard. I'm talking about Craterhoof Behemoth here. I don't think there's a way to reanimate in this format other than higher rarities, unfortunately. I just don't think we can... If we had a little bit of ramp, I would try to make Craterhoof Behemoth work, but I don't really see it happening. Oh, shoot, I'm going to take it. If this were just like a draft where I'm only trying to win, I wouldn't take it, but come on. We do need to focus on ramp more than we normally would now. That's for sure. Lotus Light Dancers would be a good Sultai card. And that's not impossible, so maybe it's one I take. Although I think the Earth Carver's pretty good, and we are there right now, so... Okay, so pretty good Sultai card here. I mean, I'm probably going to take this one and see if we can Sultai. Because, like, Dragonfire, if it's harmonized, didn't cost double red, I would be more willing to splash, but as, like, your third color, it's not that good. I mean, it's not terrible. Just casting it once is fine, but I think I want to do it more than that. Okay. Snakeskin Veil is always nice. I think we take it here. Come on, ramp. Show up in a big way. Yeah, taking the Rakshasa would have been good now, that's for sure. All right, we're going to take another one of these. Fixing and ramp. I mean, and a lot of the ramp in the set is fixing, so that's nice. Some more low drops are probably necessary. There's that Stillness in Motion. Yeah, I think we'll take River Wheel Sweep here. All right, we'll take a Falls. It is fixing. It makes it easier for us to run a Swamp. And, yeah, these, it's not a great removal spell. I do like the Crocodile, but right now my mana's not good enough to play it. Man, the Rakshasa. Is there a world where I end up in black-green as our base? There kind of is. I don't want to lose our Sig, though, so probably not. We'll take a Humbling Elder here. We have good enough blue cards that I don't think we could, like, completely jump ship into a black-green deck. Ooh, the Vanguard's really good. Is there any ramp in this pack? No. Come on, Craterhoof Behemoth. Yeah, we'll take the Vanguard. It's just, really good card. Helps us go wide for our Behemoth and stuff, so that's cool. No. Ooh, here we go. All right, we're just taking it. We're taking the Dragonstorm. We're going to try to cast Craterhoof Behemoth in this draft, so... So we want Encroaching Dragonstorm. Also helps us with our mana. So, is this a format where you can take a turn off and not add to the board? I mean, if you've added to the board on the first few turns, probably. But come on, give me another Dragonstorm. No ramp here. I do need 2 drops badly enough that I'm kind of interested in the Leopard. But the Attuned Hunter looks pretty good in our deck. Putting counters on it, so I think we probably take it. I do want to try Essence Anchor, and this is a deck that looks like it can probably do the thing. The Devotee does fix our mana, but we're not crazy desperate for that. I mean, it would be nice, but I think this card's going to work pretty well for us. Yeah, I need 2 drops and I could use the fixing, so I do unfortunately think we take the Devotee there. No ramp here. We do have a Lotus Light Dancers, which is a nice card, but Sage of the Fang and Trade Route Envoy are both quite good too. Curious about this card, but I'll let somebody else use it on me to see if it's actually good or not. I'm not convinced that the dancers are like that much better than Trade Route Envoy is. So I think we take the Envoy. Okay, we do have the Fang Keeper. And we have lots of ways to put counters on it. I'm willing to try it out. Another Devotee, sure. We're going to try to play Craterhoof. We didn't end up with as much ramp as I would have liked to play the Craterhoof, but we ended up with some. Do I want the Dragon more than the Champion? Probably not. We have enough payoffs for putting counters on things and cards leaving the graveyard that I think leaning into that is probably... It's always interesting to see if a format's a synergy format, you know? Our deck could definitely have used a little bit more removal, but... I've seen this card a lot already in the first couple of drafts, and I think it's better than where it's been sitting. I don't think we play 2 Focus the Minds. I'm not even sure we played 2. Like, Sipsig Appraiser is like... kind of does the same thing for a lot less setup and a lot less mana. I mean, I know it's not quite the same, but it's not that far off when you add a body to the board and sift through your top 2, put one in the graveyard and one in your hand, than it is when you pay 5 to not add to the board, draw 3, etc. So, yeah, we are doing Sultai again. That's true. Yeah, I'll take another Envoy pretty happily. I don't think this is that good. Like, you know, as usual, adding to the board's important, and Trade Route Envoy does it. Especially if we're going to try to play an encroaching Dragonstorm, we're going to want to be able to add to the board. Our mana is not going to be great, unfortunately. The Devotees will help a lot, because we've only got 1 dual land, and the encroaching Dragonstorm. We do have a bunch of dragons in this deck, which we didn't do in the last one. Of course, in the last one, we had like 3 Behold cards and no dragons. This one, we have no Behold cards and all the dragons you could ever want. Yeah, our last Sultai deck was way more into counters, and this one is way more into... Like, we started in black-green last time to end up there. We started in blue-green this time to end up there, which, you know, sort of shows you how the format can go. Yeah, I think we need to run, like... So we have 3 cards that need black mana, so we probably do need to run, like, 3 swamps. Let's do some trimming before we figure out the rest. So how many ways do I have cards to leave the graveyard? So there's 1, but it's expensive. Another one, reasonably expensive. Probably don't need this leopard. Yeah, another one. We do have a bunch of renew that theoretically... should make our Essence Anchor capable of making zombies. One nice thing about the Anchor, too, is that if I like get the Behemoth early, like if I see it on top, I can just throw it away, you know? Which is pretty useful. I don't think we need Focus the Mind. I think these are going to be pretty good. Like, putting counters on just about anything is pretty good, but we've got the Fang Keeper and the Ice Climber, which are especially good with them. I'm going to try the Anchor. It's a card I really want to try. Just like, I'm interested to see if we can Dragonstorm. I think if I were really focused on actually winning only, I would cut Dragonstorm and Behemoth here. But you know, I want to do some cool stuff. So probably don't really need Unending Whisper. I'm wondering if I should trim my blue as much as I can so that I don't need to run that many blue sources. The champions aren't great, but I do love that their renew is so cheap. I might... No. So, in a world where we have Craterhoof Behemoth, we probably don't need another 6-drop weighing us down. You know, our 8-drop is enough. We need to cut 3 more cards, huh? Is the Elder going to be that good for us? I mean, it's not bad, basically ever. So maybe I cut 1 champion. I do have too many 4-drops, and our worst 4-drop is probably Sagu Pummeler. Yeah. I wish I didn't need these devotees so badly, but I do. I definitely do. Yeah, maybe cut a Stormbreed. The thing to remember is it's not really a 5-drop. Like, I can play it on 3, and I'm usually going to have somewhere to put those counters. So it doesn't... It's not as clunky as it looks. But maybe cutting 1 of them and like a Humbling Elder is okay. Although cutting, yeah, maybe a Stormbrood and a Champion. I don't hate that. I kind of think this card's probably not good enough, even with all the counters we have, but I do want to try it out. Alright, so just like I want to try out the Anchor too, I'm probably trying out too many things here that I'm sort of iffy about whether we can get there on them. So I should probably, yeah. Okay, so we're going to cut a Humbling Elder, and we're going to cut a Champion, and we are just going to keep in all the things that I want to try. That's the point of early access, right? And we will roll with this. Mana's not great. Yeah. I would think this deck is not as good as our first one overall, but, you know, our mana was really good in our first deck, not that it panned out that way. Yeah, early access is all about experimenting. Hey, look, we just got all our mana without even trying. Maybe we'll just do that every game. Yeah, I mean, Ice Climber into Appraiser into, like, Synchronized Charge is pretty cool. Yeah, that card's pretty nice. Mostly, I mean, it lets you play a 4-drop creature right here, which is probably what they're going to do. No, just a 3-drop. But now, now they do have a situation where this reduces the cost of spells, too. So I don't love that for us. So we're going to attack and mill ourselves here. We have enough things that give us value out of the graveyard that I think milling ourselves is ideal. We do have a pretty good curve out here overall. We can play our dragon next turn. So, yeah, we'll put the skimmer into our hands so we can start generating value. And we still get the renew from the graveyard. So, yeah, works for me. Do you think we play Goldkeeper this turn? Probably the Vanguard the turn after that. They have a bunch of mana over there, though. They can cast a 6-drop creature right now. And they do. And it's a pretty scary one at that. Let us mill ourselves. Do I play Goldkeeper here? Yeah, I think we do. Yeah, we don't have very much removal this time. We don't have 0, but I think we definitely have 1. Oh, gross. See, this is where playing a 4-mana 3/3 feels bad when your opponent's like, well, I'm going to spend 2 to kill it. Enjoy. Making my Ice Climber... Oh, God, and now they have a Flesh Crafter, too. This early access event is not going our way, is it? Like, you know, we're doing stuff, but our opponents are just doing so much more powerful things than we are. Yeah. So we're taking 12 next turn if we don't send something to the air, but sending something to the air doesn't actually accomplish very much. So, I don't really know what I'm supposed to do here. We'll attack with our Ice Climber and mill ourselves. And I guess we play Skimmer into Appraiser. Like, we're just doing, like, little, like, value plays, and our opponents are playing out, like, you know, big, scary dragons, which, you know, you'd think that maybe that's a good strategy in a format with dragon in the name. But yeah, that is one thing that worries me about this card is paying 2 mana to kill 4 drops, even when you have this kind of value left over. I'd say Temur was pretty open for him, huh? Yep, we did curve out, and they did not care. They got a huge mana advantage between the Heirloom and the Battle Crier, and that made it hard for our curve out to even have any hope of keeping up with theirs. Oh yeah, it loses hexproof entirely. It would be way too good if it just lost an intelligent turn. Way too good. So yeah, they can even draw cards with this, which is gross. Or they can just trample to win. Yeah, that too. We weren't winning that one anyway. I think it was Palladium Ores, that hexproof until it hits something. I think that's a cool design, you know. I think Ojutai, the original Ojutai is sort of where they did that first. It has hexproof when it's untapped. Which is kind of the same. Although if you give it vigilance, it's pretty gross. Now we're up against Sirkovitz, the guy behind 17 lands, which I'm always talking about on the channel. His hand is not kind to us. Yeah, I think we have to mulligan. Look at that, perfect mana. I think we send the champion packing more than the sage, yeah. And I want to do Fanekeeper things at some point. Like, turn 3, Sage of the Fang, put a counter on Kishla Skimmer is pretty good. Attack for 3, play Fang Keeper. It's not a bad start. They may be able to kill our Skimmer here. But that's probably okay. Oh boy. He had to cast that just to draw a card, which is not good news for Circovitz. We have been lucky. I mean, we did mulligan to get this mana, but our mana is pretty bad in this deck, and we got pretty lucky to have, like, perfect mana here. So I definitely put counters on Kotis with Sage of the Fang, should our Sage of the Fang die. Yeah, they'll make a second body here. Oh, or they won't. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Well, we got our Dragonstorm. This is not really a hand where we wanted it that much. Yeah. I think we leave the Fang Keeper back, although, honestly, I think we attack with Sage of the Fang here. Because if they block it, I use this ability, put counters on that, and draw a card. That seems pretty great. May as well attack with all 3, actually. Yeah. Alright, that makes sense, that they decided not to kill the Sage. So we'll do this. We will have all the mana in the world. Craterhoof, does he need 3 green? I feel like he needs 3 green. Yeah, so we'll grab 2 forests. Hopefully that means we draw fewer lands, too, because we have more than enough of those. Yeah, that's what's so amazing about the Pack Beast, is that even when you have to cast it for 5, like, I would play 5 mana 4/3, you draw a card. Like, 100% of the time, I think. So, yeah. So, yeah, we will attack with everything again. I wonder if I'm just supposed to put the counters on the Skimmer now, because it makes the Skimmer lethal. And they have to have an answer for it. I kind of think that's a good idea. Ooh, okay. And now I can also just go... So they have to kill the Skimmer. If they don't, we win. And if they do, we still have a Kotis that they can't block without losing stuff. So... we do get Rhino'd, but it looks like we're gonna swing in for the 6. Sorry, Circovitz, I love 17 lands. He had mana issues in that one. Whereas our mana was, like, perfect. We could even cast our Craterhoof if we drew it in that one. okay. I mean, I do think this is keepable thanks to our Ice Climber. Ugh. It does end up kind of sketchy, but not insanely so. I mean, there's a good chance we draw our other mana. If only this was Surveil. Okay. We got a little lucky there. Oh, man. Turn 3? 3 counters on Ice Climber? That's kind of gross. And that is the game plan, I think. Talk about a combo. Ooh. Their combo's pretty great, too, though. I wonder whether I should be milling them once I'm milling 4 cards a turn. They're in black, so it seems a little dangerous. I mean, I'm going to kill them with damage before I ever kill them with milling. And milling myself does give us a lot of value because of all the renew. I should probably still mill myself. Speaking of, we hit 2 cards with renew. I don't know for sure if there's just like straight up data on 17 lands about that, but he's talked about it. And there are some formats where you're supposed to run 16. Okay. It's kind of tempting to try to just leave up our Veil here. God, maybe that's what I'm supposed to do, huh? Just race them, protect this. Yeah. I still have things I can do here, namely this. And then we attack, mill ourselves. Leave up the Veil. We wouldn't have been able to cast any of these blue-green cards, so it's kind of nice we milled all of them. And if we do ever draw black, we can buff our Ice Climber. Yeah, Boggles in draft. I do have to mill. It's not a choice. There is a point at which it becomes better not to mill, that's for sure. Just because we don't want to run out of cards, but you're likely to kill your opponent before that matters, and all of the extra counters that he gives himself help you do it even faster. So sweet, sweet. You know what we really hope they don't have is the Edict. We do not want to see the Edict. Oh, does it say up to? You're right. Good call. I guess we will choose 0 this time. Because it's lethal either way. We're still going to mill ourselves. Now we can protect ourselves from an Edict, too, by playing Trade Route Envoy. Which will draw us a card. So I guess I can go up to 6 here, which might mean they're not dead if I didn't have Synchronized Charge. I don't want to target the opponent. They're playing black. It's way more likely to hurt me than help them. Than help me to mill them. Ooh, that is a problem. Because they're going to be able to gain a bunch of life now with Kintree Nurturer. That's frustrating. That is not good, folks. They do have to swing with everything to do it. But, yeah, I was going to say, why wouldn't they? Because they buffed the Nurturer to the moon. I can't really block it. God, that's a perfect draw. Why? Okay. Well, gonna be hard to win this one now, since we were hoping to kill them with damage. Why do these things happen? Is there a way for me to not be dead here? Synchronized charge helps a little. We do have one removal spell, and if we can find it with our Appraiser, I mean, that's like the only way we win. We might be dead anyway. But I still think we're supposed to play the Appraiser. Nope. We'll mill them this time just for fun. Wow, they have red and they didn't get any of it? Yeah, this thing plus a lifelinker is like backbreaking. Oh my god, they just took that? Well, I think we get to steal a win here. Okay, well, we did not deserve to win that game, but they took a risk that was very risky and lost because of it. There was no reason for them to take all of that. Even just blocking with the token, like, would have kept them from dying there. Wild. All right, looks pretty good. Even blocking with their thing that buffed their other stuff, they would have been able to swing back for lethal. So yeah. That was not the greatest choice. We're going to get to see if Essence Anchor, how Essence Anchor goes. Get some reps with it here. Hope my Devotee stays in play since both of my Gold Keepers have arrived. I do think we run out the champion first. Like, you know, adding to the board is generally the better plan. I don't think we attack with our Devotee. It's too important for us to cast a Gold Keeper next turn for that to be what I want to do. Right, they're ramping. That is a nice thing about, you know, when you play Limited, you learn stuff from how your cards perform, but you learn stuff from how your opponent's cards perform too. So we're going to run this out first so that I can then attack with both of these. We trample for 3, so that's fine by me. If we draw land next turn, we can play the Anchor and use this, and then make a 2/2. That seems like a pretty good sequence. We get a treasure out of the deal, too. Might just be better to play another Goldkeeper, though, than get all cute like that. They are all about the ramp. They probably have a Craterhoof Behemoth or the Teamer Dragon. Those two cards are definitely reasons to go wild with ramp. Sad. Yeah, I mean, that is the problem with that creature. Ooh. Well, I think I'm going to go ahead and play Cotis because I have ways to buff it in the graveyard already. Yeah, it may turn out that being 4 mana, 3/3 just isn't good enough in this format. You know, I speculated about that some in the set review because of freaking Caustic Exhale. And so far, that's how it's felt with these Goldkeepers. But, like, if I draw a land here, put counters on my Cotis and attack them, that is some business. Now it's less business because they have a huge Death Toucher. Oh, yeah, and they can just exile both cards from my graveyard, too. Great. That's great. So I think we swing with both things here. I mean, we don't... Well, I guess I'd like to play a Goldkeeper first. I'm pretty sure they just block Cotis and take 2, but I'm okay with doing 2. They do have an enormous amount of mana, and they can get more. Our Essence Anchor is suddenly kind of a dud. Don't imagine they're attacking us here or anything. They're just trying to decide what of many different options they should cast, which I don't love. Wow. So, you know, I was thinking that the Goldkeeper's ability from the graveyard would be, like, enough of a reason to, be able to... Ooh, 2 huge Death Touchers. To offset the downside of the whole situation. But, yeah. Doesn't really feel that way, does it? Wonder if I'm supposed to attack with my Goldkeeper here. Because if it dies, I put the counters on Cotis. Like, immediately. Yeah. I think that's pretty good. So far, Cotis isn't big enough to do anything, but attack through these, but it can block them for a while. Okay. Nice, nice. All right, well, I think we attack with our Devotee here. Then we could play... trying to decide if it's better to play the Anchor because it will improve our draws and put things in our graveyard for Kishla Skimmer. Yeah. Okay. Well, they are out of gas, and theoretically our Anchor will give us the edge in a long game. So this is our only swamp, but we've already played both of these, and we have another Devotee in our hand, so I think we just throw it away. Wait, it's not our only swamp anyway, now that I think about it. We do have other swamps. I think we attack with our Devotee here. Good chance they finally block the thing. I'm cool if they don't, though. Yeah. So then we go Devotee, Attuned Hunter. They have drawn more lands out of their deck, so the Anchor does give us a bit of an edge, but they're likely to draw more action right now than we are. Potentially, anyway. Ooh. What do you do for me? And then I can harmonize. And draw a card. Make... oh, yeah. Okay. That's definitely what we wanted. We just want to draw this because I want all the counters in the world. So I'm going to go ahead and draw it. And then go... counter here. Do I want to counter on my Hunter? I mean, it's not that far from being big enough to be relevant, but it's also the best thing to tap for me to harmonize this turn. So I think and it's going to get a counter anyway. I think we still put the counter on it. And then we go harmonize. Counter here. And a counter here again. We draw a card. This gets a counter. Oh, you're right. I did kind of forget I could put all of the counters on Kotis. That's definitely what I should have done. I was thinking I had to distribute them, but I am incorrect. So, yeah, we'll attack with our Devotee. I mean, just making them lose stuff, like, matters at this point. We've got... I'm going to go ahead and play this out, just in case. We are 1 mana shy of Craterhoof Behemoth. But yeah, all the counters on Kotis would have been much better. All right. To the graveyard you go. We will play this just in case we draw Craterhoof. And we'll end our turn. It'd be pretty fun to draw Craterhoof Behemoth right now, that's for sure. Any card with an Endure is like, or not Endure, the other one, Renew, or Harmonize is pretty great right now too, as we saw in the previous turn. I just hope they don't have bounce or exile removal. Like, obviously that's going to completely crush us. Okay. Interesting. Well, yeah, just put all the counters. Okay. We will draw this. I will put all the counters on Kotis. And then Kotis will attack. They have to block, probably with the Gold Keeper. If they draw a Craterhoof Behemoth, I'm going to be peeved, let's say. It is sort of boggly. Why block with your biggest creature? What is their plan here? To keep it from dying. Yeah, okay. That makes some sense. I almost think killing the Skimmer is better than anything else. Uh-oh. Okay. Well, they are now threatening us with a whole lot of dragons. Hmm. Am I just supposed to take 14? That doesn't seem like a good plan. I think we have to chump block. You will draw me a card. Snakeskin Veil, huh? So I can actually attack with my Hunter here. Am I just dead next turn? Because, like, I can block one flyer, and then I take... Yeah, I'm just dead. I have to get them to block here or something. Maybe we try to win with a Snakeskin Veil. Out of nowhere again. Well, I think we just attack with our 2 ground creatures and see if we can sneak something through. I highly doubt they're just going to take it like our last opponent. If they block with a flyer, we have a chance to survive for another turn. Aw, man. Aha! Snake's getting veiled. Now what do you do? Come on, Craterhoof Behemoth. Actually, just what if the Behemoth even wins us the game right now? Given how huge their creatures are, too. This is our second draft. It's like our third game in our second draft. It's pretty fun so far. I mean, I've drafted Sultai and Abzan. They may decide to attack me here. I don't know. Okay. I mean, they don't really have to mass block it is the problem. So everything's going to get +3/+3 and trample. Is that enough for us to win? How many cards are left in their deck? Because Kotis does mill. I mean, I think I'm going to do it just to say I cast Craterhoof Behemoth, but I kind of don't think we have lethal. Oh, you're right. I get to cast everything. And we do have lethal anyway. I didn't want to do the math, but that's good. Well, Kotis, putting a bunch of counters on Kotis or on a 1/3 unblockable works pretty well so far. Pretty well. Thank God I had that snakeskin veil, though, huh? You know what's funny? If I had let that -5, -0 resolve, Kotis would have lost indestructibility, but still had flying and all those counters. Kotis was definitely not a first pick. We got it pretty late. I don't think it's a card you should first pick. You know, it's performing well, but it needs just the right deck. I think this is a keep. Obviously, we really desperately need that third land, but we'll get it, right? If we get a third land, we are kind of in good, you know, ready to roll. We'll see whether we do it. Oh, now we really, really want that third land. Lands always come through. It seems like any hand I've kept today with like 2 lands hasn't gone super well, but maybe it's confirmation bias. And I only remember the times where it went badly. Why? I'm not... I guess I get to block a 1/1 token, but I think doing 2 to them is worth more than taking 1 less. If we don't draw a third land here, I think we're done. Pretty much. Ooh, gross. See, if I blocked that token, that wouldn't have worked. We drew something we can play, at least. And it can block Abzan Devotee, at least. We need a judge call on this luck. We did just draw Craterhoof Behemoth to win a game, so maybe it all evens out, but... We have missed a lot of land drops today, it's true. Gross. Well, we're gonna block that. Yeah, we have had the Veil at a couple of really good times. It's true. Oh my god, though. Oh my god. Let's mill ourselves. It'll probably be a land. It's not, so I'm glad I made that decision. Ooh. Yeah. All right. I can at least do something with this when it's in our graveyard. Olipod, you say that like you don't ever get mana screwed in paper. It is just part of the game. So the pack beast that I liked it a lot in the set review. Said it was in the conversation for best white common. Gave it at least a B-. Might have been a B. It's looked even better than I expected in the games we've seen. And that's saying something, because I thought it was going to be really good. So let's see. 3, 6. Can I block this and not die? No. Well, I am just dead. Yeah. 3, 4. I could block the reigning victor and not die, but come on. We're not going to get there this game. Yeah, it is funny that there's a lands, am I right, thing. It is funny, because I think it is actually a really good thing about Magic, to some extent, because it makes deck building more interesting and more complicated than it would be if you just had a resource you got every turn, like some people complain about sometimes. But, it also, turns some games into... Hey there, Tom. Good game, sort of. As you've noted, I didn't really get to do much, but yeah, it was rough. 'Twas rough. Surely they go with the 1/1 there. Yeah. May actually play the 4/2 here, just because it plays better against these creatures. I can play the Appraiser later. Okay. Probably, again, just play out the big creature here. I could play the tap land and the Appraiser, though. That does set up some better turns in the future, I think. Could also just put all the counters, but I still am dealing with an annoying Death Touch creature. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and play the Appraiser here. Well, I guess we take Codis, yeah. And, yeah, we'll end our turn. Oh, good. That puts a counter on their things every instep. That's hard to beat. It does seem like there have been a lot of bombs in the games we've played. I'm not sure whether it's just been falling that way or if this format's going to turn out to be a Prince format. I guess we pass here and plan on flashing this in, but it's going to be tough to beat the Siege here. Tough to beat the Siege. Maybe those Sieges are reason enough to run, like, main deck, the 2-mana 2/2 that can destroy enchantments. Okay, that doesn't upset me very much. So that works for me. So I think we got to get rid of bodies, or the Siege is going to be too good. The I still added another one, unfortunately for us. Really need to get this devotee down. But it doesn't exactly feel like I have time to. Yeah, so I'm going to attack here. Then we'll play the Envoy. Gross. At least that counter dies, but... Okay, I do now have a way to block every turn with Kotis, and I can try to get some counters going. Yeah, I don't hate that. So let's attack them for 4. Gross. If they wouldn't keep drawing more creatures, stabilizing would be a possibility, but everything they've drawn has been a creature. I mean, you know, they're in Mardu. You're going to have a lot of creatures, but they need to brick on a draw somewhere. I can play the Gold Keepers at instant speed, which is pretty sweet. Okay, well, we definitely block this. We take less damage if we do it that way. Yeah. Ooh. Hello there. Alright, so... Yeah, we definitely go Knockout Maneuver. Kill Stormsinger. Now we have an attack with the Fangkeeper that they have to, respect. I guess I'm, like, dead. Well, I'll play the Devotee. We'll be fine. And if they take the hit, I get to probably cast a free spell. At least one. Yeah. Hello. I don't really want to cast that one. I guess if I had stacked things correctly, this might have worked out better, but yeah, we're not casting that one. If I had stacked it correctly, I could have put a counter on everything and sacked the token, but I didn't quite do it correctly. It feels pretty good when you've made them stop attacking you when they have freaking Baron Step Siege in play. Oh, you're right. Sack is part of the cost. So I couldn't... There should be a way, though, for me to let the Outrider resolve first, but yeah. Do we just have lethal? Hold on a second here. Because they have to... They take 6... Huh. I do not have lethal. They can just block both of these. I can drop them to 1, but that's not quite good enough. So, we will attack with Stormbrood. Then I think I'd rather cast this than hold up the instant speed things, because I might draw something else I can play. You know, like a Snakeskin Veil. Whew! I didn't think we were going to beat that Baron Step Siege when it first came down, but we managed to. Codis? Codis has been looking good, that's for sure. We drew super well in that game. We had some problems, you know, some bad luck early, but drawing the fight spell right when we did, when it made Codis big enough to kill their thing, and then also allowed Codis to attack in a way where they either had to block and lose their creature, and I don't lose anything, or let themselves take a huge hit. Like, that was pretty good. Ooh. Yeah, we're gonna have to mulligan this one. Alright, much better. Man, what do I put back? I guess I don't have to have... I guess I put back one Devotee. Yeah. Tygam. So if they double spell, they get to suspend the second spell, and then eventually they get a 2-for-1. It just takes a while. Do I attack here? Is it better for me to attack? Probably not. I'm gonna attack. It'd be cool if they try to use removal and then I can Veil and then play the Envoy and draw a card on my turn. That would be cool. Our mana has our mana in this deck is not very good, and we have actually drawn our 3 colors pretty consistently. So as much as we can complain, you know, there's... Okay, that's interesting. So I think we attack with Devotee here. If they want to block, we Veil to kill the Bellringer, and then we play Sage of the Fang. I could also just play the Sage now. Yeah, that's actually better. They were unlikely to block anyway. It is easier for them to double spell now, unfortunately. But hopefully they don't do it. Looks like they're going to try some removal. Oh yeah, this is huge tempo for us. They spent 3 mana on that card, and now they're not going to get anything out of it. Or are they? Still think we cast the Veil, but okay, good. They don't get anything out of it. For a second, I thought maybe the way it was worded is they would still get the exile part. Okay. Well, that's annoying. They get that. They get that. So this is going to eventually remove a creature. I think I'm supposed to play Envoy here. Draw a card. Okay, so we've got Codis plus Stormbrood, which could be pretty good. Might also just be worth playing a flyer, even though it'll die in a few turns to Molten Exhale. I didn't think an attack would be meaningful. I mean, I guess I could have done it and still been able to block Tygam here, but this is the first Monument I've actually seen someone play. I do think they're pretty good, but hasn't lined up for, didn't line up for anyone else to play them or for us to play one. Oh yeah, I do think you're like a huge chunk of the time that's true. So I've got options here. I could play Codis and then plan on Storm Brooding. But flashing this in also just seems pretty good. Yeah, if you get Tygam into play early and you get this into play, you're gonna find a way to cast all that stuff. It's true. I mean, I think it does take too long for him to be like a legit bomb, but he's a good value engine in games that go long enough. I guess if we're gonna win this thing, playing an indestructible creature, that fresh start is gonna be real annoying though. But we're a ways away from it, so yeah, we'll go ahead and play Codis. End our turn. At least Codis is immune to Molten Exhale. One definitely needs to play the format a lot to have a really good feeling, but I mean, in the set review, it seemed like white was the deepest. But yeah, you can't really, a draft and a half in, unequivocally say what you think is the best. You know, it's tough anyway. I wonder if they have bounce here. Let's find out. If they do, we're in trouble. It looks like they do. Well, I think they're going to be able to just outvalue us with Tygam here. Our drafts were like technically the same colors, but at the same time, yeah, so they're going to exhale something here. The decks were actually substantially different from each other, despite being the same colors, is what I'm trying to say. Because one started out as blue-green, and one started out as black-green, so this one's more into... Alright, well, that's pretty much game over. They can hit Codis with that even, so... Double spelling all of their removal is disgusting. Okay, that's interesting. So I guess that's what we're gonna do here. Just to make a zombie and make this a little more relevant. Yeah, I mean, if you can play Tygam on turn 2, keep him alive, and have, you know, payoffs like Bellringer, you can go pretty wild. I think I gave it a C+ in the set review, and even seeing a game like this isn't enough for me to say, well, it's way better than that. Because the fact of the matter is, you're usually not going to go off like this with Tygam, like our opponent is. Yeah, river wheel technique, like, you know, they're keeping the chain alive in like a ridiculous way. And once you start looping the Tygams, they do get even better. You know, because on the turn when you play the first suspended card, it's easier to cast 2 spells. Yeah, I think we need something else if we're gonna win this game. I mean, that's probably not gonna do it, but it does let me make another zombie, I guess. Ultimately. Putting my counters on these like weakened creatures is kind of hilarious. I actually have an attack here. Yeah, this is gonna be gross. The Essence Acre hasn't felt terrible. I mean, I think we're in a pretty good deck for it. Yeah, of course. We were liable to brick eventually. It is fun seeing Tygam go off. I mean, it may, you know, he may be more like, ultimately, like a build around B+, maybe even a build around A. Because if you can really keep the loop going, it is... I'm going to cast Craterhoof again. It's not going to do anything, but casting Craterhoof is fun. So let's do it. It's not like nothing, you know. It is not nothing. They can survive, of course, but, you know. It's actually super close. They only have 5 toughness. Wait, why did they take it all? 12, 18. They just had to block with both of their creatures, and they would have been at 1. I guess they wouldn't have had lethal on us next turn. Why are people giving me free wins? I mean, I'll take it. That's 2 Craterhoof wins, people. That one was unfair. I mean, I don't think legitimate, but it turns out putting all those counters on my creatures that were impotent mattered in the end. Pretty hilarious. I mean, it is true. Maybe that was their thinking. Maybe they just didn't want to do the math and they were pretty sure they were dead, but I didn't give Craterhoof a D. I gave it a B. And I think it lives up to that. We've been very lucky to never have it in our opening hand, though. I will say that. Because in your opening hand, when you're like, I would take just about anything other than this Craterhoof Behemoth, that's not where you want to be. LSV again. Let's see if we can win this time. Oh, there's the Behemoth. I mean, I think this hand is still a keep, but having the Behemoth in it is a little brutal. I do like that card, and it makes sense LSV does too. We almost took one in this draft, but... Ooh, Dragonstorm nonsense. I'm trying to think if I've ever beaten LSV in early access. I must have at some point. I do feel like I've lost every time, but there's been so many early access events. Of course, that card's also awesome. We'll just play Champion of Doosan and pass here. And then play Kotis next turn and start trying to go crazy. This card's sweet too. Ramps your mana in a big way. I wonder why he decided not to mill, though. Intriguing. So I think we play out Kotis and try to go that route, put a bunch of counters on it. I could use Synchronized Charge here and get in a better attack, but Kotis has been good to us, so I think we're going to try that nonsense. Gross. They just ramped into a Meringue River region. Well, that is tough. The bounce is real, yeah. He crushed us in our last game, too. He got, you know, I mean, he is undoubtedly a better player and drafter than I am, given, you know, Hall of Famer and all that. But to add to that, I haven't had the best luck against him. So I've been crushed instead of merely losing. Look, I run Sibsig Appraiser too. I know what I'm doing, I promise. When he plays against me, he probably doesn't think I know what I'm doing. Look at that. If we only had a little more time, we could cast our Craterhoof Behemoth, but... Well, down to 1 we will go. And now we'll concede.